All right, welcome to our new podcast here at the H Connect Collective. It is called the Build Your Room podcast, and it revolves around Black Hills State University football. My first guest on the podcast, first guest is head coach Josh Breske. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing great, Darren. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming down. I wanted to kind of do this so I could kind of talk a little bit about our Build Your Room campaign that we put together for the football program. What we're trying to do is we're trying to champion our alumni to make their old position room the best position room in the RMAC, right? So we're looking for our alumni quarterbacks that if they want to donate to our campaign here, their money will go to the quarterback room. And that money will go to making the Black Hills State University quarterback room the best quarterback room in the RMAC. That's our goal, right? And we're looking to help you with what you need to make that happen, financial-wise, for scholarships, anything like that. So that's kind of what we're doing here. I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping some of our alumni will watch this, maybe get a hold of me, and we can kind of get that campaign going.
Absolutely.
I know we've talked about the Jackrabbit Former Players Association and how much good they've done at SDSU, and this is kind of our little run at that situation, hoping we can help out. So
For sure. No.
So now on to the good stuff.
For sure. Let's talk.
How did football? No, let's talk about last season. Give me a little rundown about last season. We were talking before this a little bit about it. There's some things you wish you had back, some things you wish you would have done different, which every season has that. Give us the ups and downs and what you think leading into this next season is going to be like.
Yeah, a lot of our season pivoted around the entry of a new quarterback. We had Luke Doobie join us right around June 1st this past summer. Grad transfer from Cornell who had 2 years to play. So played this year as a grad junior. We'll have another season left with us in 2025, but anyone that knows football knows, your season's going to revolve around your quarterback play, right? Your offensive line play, things like that. But I thought Luke did a tremendous job stepping up as a new guy without a spring ball with our program and taking the leadership reins. He was voted captain in fall camp, started every single game for us, and honestly did a really, really good job. I think he exceeded expectations on our end and finished third in the RMAC in passing. So we had a good year. I wouldn't say we had a great year. Going 6-5 with losses to Mesa, Colorado Mines, Pueblo, Western, and St. Thomas. Definitely felt like we had an opportunity to win at least 2 or 3 of those games.
All good, really good teams that you lost to.
Yeah,
I mean, they were
the top teams on our schedule. Yeah. And finally, it was a year where we didn't drop a game to a team that we felt like was below us, maybe talent level wise, ability wise. We played really well with the teams that we were kind of neck and neck with. And honestly, I'd say those teams are like South Dakota Mines and Shadron. We're really comparable to those two teams. And we squeezed out a 2-point win and a 3-point win against our rivals this year. So anytime you can beat Tech, anytime you can beat Shadron, those are successful seasons, but especially having another winning year, being in the above 500. Before our staff got here, there was one season where they went above 500 in D2. And so to have 3 of those now back to back, it definitely feels good. But we're ready to take the next step,
I definitely feel like the RMAC is any given Saturday league, right?
Yeah,
anybody
for sure.
can beat anybody. You better bring it every week, no matter who you're playing. And it's fun to be in a conference like that when you take down the big guy just as easy as the big guy or the little guy can take down the big guy.
And the bottom of our league has gotten better too. I say bottom of our league. Black Hills was the bottom of the league, for years and years, and so we've elevated our play. New Mexico Highlands has elevated their play. Fort Lewis has begun to elevate their play as well. I know Adams State, under new leadership, their coach stepped down after this season. They'll probably get it going again too, recruiting Colorado really hard. But it's a great league. It's something we sell to our recruits is if you want to play Division II football and play some of the best teams in the nation, come to Black Hills and we'll take a crack at them every Saturday.
Oh yeah, so speak to a little bit to how the portal is affecting the league, the conference. Obviously it affects your school. We just talked about your quarterback that came from Cornell, but every team in the RMAC is really I think that's, like you said, the bottom teams are getting better because the talent pool is getting
Yeah,
thicker,
absolutely.
so to speak.
I think two things. You have teams that take advantage of the portal in kind of droves, and that's CSU Pueblo is the team I think that takes the most guys out of the portal every year. They bring in the most new transfers. And you look on the other end, you got teams like Pueblo, teams like Western, who are getting players plucked off of their rosters into the portal. And I think that's, sure, it's a great compliment, but man, what an aggravating situation to be in for those coaches. And we really haven't dealt with that yet. I'd like to think that that's coming as we continue to get better, that people will be, seeking after our players as well. I mean, you kind of hope not, but yes, it is still a really great compliment. But Black Hill State, we've benefited from the portal. Talked with former compliance director Tommy Donovan, former Yellow Jacket, and said, Tommy, pull some stats for me. I want to know how many guys we've had in the portal over the last few years and how many of those guys have actually matriculated. And I think we've had like 16 athletes in the portal over the last 3 years, and only 2 of them have ended up at another NCAA school. Yeah. And so, we pitched to our recruits, hey, there was over 11,000 football players in the portal in 23 and 24, and 66% of them did not matriculate. And that's kind of a scary number to think about. So, the supply and demand is, the athletes don't understand it, but the coaches do. Right?
And that's something we're hoping we can help out here with at H Connect is, if we can get involved with the kids, help them out with things like plane tickets, groceries, gas in the car. We're not giving away new cars and millions of dollars, but if we can do that, help them realize that the community cares about them, they won't be so quick to leave, right? Absolutely. They're going to want to stay in Spearfish, maybe I'm still battling it out for a position, but boy, I'm really welcomed here, and I think that's going to become more of a thing with the portal and with kids moving. And then, like you said, the advice is going to be no, stay, not go.
Right.
More as we go forward.
Unless you have somewhere to go. But I think this whole notion of I'm going to enter the portal to shop around and someone's going to come get me. I mean, you might be sorely disappointed and end up at what we call the DCU, the Crib University, sitting on mom's couch, sending out emails and Twitter messages trying to find a new coach and a new program. But
so much of it is coaches believing in you, and if you're you got to give them something to believe in, and it's not always the grass is greener situation. I don't.
You said it. Yeah, you said it.
Yeah, for sure. And so let's keep them in town. Let's keep getting better and
Absolutely,
better.
Absolutely, yeah. Retention's at an all-time high for our program. My first year here, we lost a lot of guys, and I think it's because we needed to crank up the heat on them a little bit and teach them this is how we need to train in order to win. And some guys weren't willing to do that, and they dropped off. But now, we're not losing that many guys. We're just not. We had 2 athletes get in the portal this season. One of them, funny story, said, hey, coach, I really want to play D1. I said, well, I get it. Do you have somewhere in mind? No, I'm just going to enter the portal and see what happens. And poor guy ended up at an FCS school that's won 4 games in the last 4 years in a tiny town in central United States. I'm like, dude, you're a West Coast guy. Shoot. Yeah, you're playing D1, but golly, you're living in a smaller town than Spearfish now, in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, on a bad team. Like, shoot, it's tough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's and you got to live with those. I mean, there's no going. So that was the question I was going to ask. So if an athlete decides, hey, coach, I'm going to go into the portal, and then obviously he can come back, right? So do you guys have policy that way to like, hey, if you say you're going, it's the deal, or do you keep trying to recruit them back?
Honestly, I've not had a lot of success with having kids come back. I've had one athlete who entered the portal really for academic reasons. He graduated, wanted into the portal, wanted to get into an engineering type of degree and play football. Couldn't find that combination. Came back to me and said, hey, would you take me back? I'm like, well, great. You're a really productive player for us. You didn't leave because you didn't like it here. It was an academic deal. And we had him come back, and it was a mistake. It just kind of blew up in my face a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that's how, at the heart of this portal is that situation, the grad transfer rule that they put in years ago, where if you graduated and had eligibility, you could go to a different university that had the academics that you needed, maybe to get your master's or whatever. And so that's how it started, and then it's turned into a huge portal.
Wild West.
So I imagine you got to have rules and policy against some of that, just so they know going in, hey, you make this decision, this is where we stand.
Well, I know right now, Division I, they have the ability, if an athlete comes in and says, hey, I want to enter the portal, the coach can say, well, you're off the team and we're pulling your scholarship effective immediately. May even be able to prorate those scholarships if they're X amount of days into the semester. For D2, we actually don't have that rule. The rule is you cannot remove an athlete from your roster solely based on the fact that they entered the portal. So there's ways to circumvent it. And we actually talked as a group of head coaches in the RMAC. We had a face-to-face meeting this past Monday down in Denver, and we covered this issue together. And, there were some coaches in our conference who, hey, I had a kid quit in fall camp, or not quit. Yeah. Let me re-say that. I had a kid enter the portal in fall camp, and we had to retain his scholarship and pay him through the fall and spring because he stayed enrolled at the school. And so what we do, and what most of the other coaches in D2 do, is if a kid comes in, hey, I want to get into the portal, you just ask the question. So are you coming to workouts tomorrow? Are you staying on the team? Are you going to be at meetings? Yeah. Are you leaving the team? And if they say, well, I'm leaving the team, it's just the same as quitting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a delicate dance anymore. I mean, as far as you don't have to recruit them to get them there. You got to recruit them the whole time they're there to get them to stay.
The whole time, yeah. I just can't imagine, as a working professional in any field, would you go to your employer and say, hey, I like it here, but I'm going to put my name out into this workforce portal and see if I can't find something better than here. But I want you to keep paying me and keep me employed. Like, what world are we living in where that's normal?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
It's goofy, bud.
So recruiting wise, let us know what are the your main states that you're recruiting. Who did you get there? Where did they come from?
Yeah, so we made a big change this year. I personally have been driving about a 3,500 or 4,000 mile loop, and I'll leave Spearfish. I'll go all through Wyoming, north all the way out west to Du Bois, south through Laramie and back. Take a break over a weekend, and then I'll do a whole nother loop through South Dakota and down through Nebraska. And so really nobody else on staff had that much windshield time except for me. And at the time I found it, hey, it's really important as the head coach that I'm going into these regional schools, if anything, right, for camps too, right? Just to push camps. If there's not an athlete, I'm going to stop in and at least hand you off a camp flyer. But what happened was I was kind of spinning my wheels a little bit, not finding a lot of recruits in that region. So what we did, we decided to break up South Dakota, Wyoming, Nebraska. We broke it up amongst our staff, and I moved my recruiting territory down to Phoenix. We didn't have anyone on the ground in Phoenix. Coach JB, our defense coordinator. Played. I thought it's going to be
Phoenix in the winter. That's a good call.
No D2s at all. They got a direct flight from Mesa Gateway right into Rapid City. It's $139 round trip if you don't check a bag or pick your seats. But anyways, JB was recruiting Salt Lake City and really all of Utah. But 3 out of 5, maybe 4 out of 5 kids he talked to were all going on LDS missions. And so that cuts your pool right away pretty slim. You only got 20% of the kids you're looking at are actually wanting to go to a 4-year right out of high school. So we decided to pull out of that area, and JB and I went down to Phoenix and we split the whole valley, and we could probably take another 2 coaches. Sure. But we're going to handle it ourselves as best we can. I have 1 coach in Colorado. Our defensive backs coach, Coach Cervantes, stepped away from the staff at the end of the season. And so we were down a coach in Colorado this year, but Brendan Hopkins picked it up. And then
he seems to be a good recruiter.
Yeah, Brendan's good. Yeah. He's really good. And then, our former offense coordinator was recruiting SoCal by himself and had always done a tremendous job down there. And so we had to phone recruit that a little bit this season, and it was still good for us. It was still fruitful. We found plenty of good athletes in Southern California. Our wide receiver coach, Drake Davidson, is up in Northern California, kind of recruiting the Bay Area a little bit. And where else are we? And then we split up. I had Lucas Ferdinand do some tours through South Dakota and try to pull up some kids. And we split up Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska. So gun to my head. Sorry. Colorado, Arizona, Southern California, South Dakota, Wyoming, Nebraska.
So down in Arizona, I know in the past they were What's the junior college situation? Do they still have those programs? I know they were going to.
Some of them still are playing football, but they're not associated with the National Junior College Athletic Association. So they're playing club. Okay. And so there's still an ability for those athletes to go to those schools and get AAs, but they don't have a full-fledged junior college schedule. And so I don't even know who they're playing. There's a few that are still playing, but
so
honestly,
you're not recruiting those very hard when you're
not at all.
It's mostly high school kids.
Mostly high school kids, yeah. And it's insane. It's insane how many great high schools there are down there. Most of the coaches played college football. Most of them, it's their full-time job. Yeah. They're either a weight room guy or a PE guy, and they always have time for you to come by the school. But what I really liked about it, JB and I found out, is the showcases in May. They'll do 2 straight weeks of showcases where you could see 500 kids every single night for 2 straight weeks.
Yeah. And those are huge. So I was telling people, SDSU's new coach, Coach Jackson. Yeah. He was like one of the original guys that did those. I remember reading about him going through Nebraska, barnstorming those prospect camps through small towns in Nebraska. And then the first time he was at SDSU, and they were pulling a lot of kids up out of there. Yeah. And then it really took off to where it's like your former
Lindenwood.
Lindenwood has a huge mega camp. Yeah.
Oh, insane. Yeah. When I was there, we started it and they were netting about $80K from 3 days of camp.
Yeah. Those change the recruiting world as far as getting kids looked at. Kids. I mean, obviously with the stars and the different stuff like that gets them out there.
You got a few programs, like I know NDSU boasts all of their offers will come from their team camps or individual camps. Colorado Mines says all of our offers will come from individual camp. You have to come to camp to get an offer.
Got a new coach there you're going to have to deal with?
Yeah.
Same as the old new guy, same as the old guy. Oh, you never coached against him back in the day?
No, never. No.
I remember when he was there the first time, they were monsters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember his track record, obviously, and
a lot of the offense you see today, he was doing that years ago. Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. He wasn't at our head coaches meeting on Monday. I don't think he was quite in Golden yet. Yeah. But no, we had great meetings and some rule changes this year that are kind of interesting.
What are those?
Be worth talking about. Yeah. So typically eligibility wise, you have to pass 18 credits in the fall and the spring. Minimum, right? You have to have 24 in the year, but you could only get 6 credits from the summer max. So therefore you had to pass some version of 18 credits in the fall or the spring, whether it's 9 and 9 or 10 and 8, whatever. And then you could find a way to get your 6 in the summer. So they took away the 18 fall and spring. So now you can take an unlimited amount of credits in the summer, as many as you could fit in.
It sounds like the old NAIA days.
Which is nuts. I got to think, there's going to be some cases where, a cat in the fall ain't doing nothing and bombs everything, passes 0. Well, he can find a way the next semester to go 12 and pick up another 12 in the summer and be good to go.
Yeah. That's how it always was. I remember when we were in the NAIA, it might probably still the same way, but if you were short, not that I had to do this, but if you were short a couple credits, you'd take a couple in the summer to get you to that 24 or whatever.
You can take 18 in the summer if you need 18.
In the summer, opportunities at universities are far more robust with the online,
no doubt,
than they were back in the day where you had to be on campus. So I mean, you could take a full schedule in the summer, just like it's almost like 3 semesters.
They changed the junior college rule for Division II. We used to, if you were qualified at a high school and you went to a JC, you could leave after your first semester at JC and you could go. As soon as you attended your second semester at JC for Division II, you either had to graduate and get your AA, or you had to meet transfer requirements, which is you had to have a science class, 2 English classes, a math class, a 2.2, average of 12. Like nobody was doing that at JUCOs. These kids that we recruit at JUCOs, they're taking weightlifting, they're taking film, they're taking a health wellness class. So, and what's nice, they reduced the transferable credit rule. It doesn't have to be transferable credit anymore. It just has to be earned credit. So if you pass 12, they're not going to say, well, this one was a basket weaving and this one was this.
Yeah, they're just
going to take 12, you're good to go. Yeah. So we can get kids that are qualifiers now after their first, second, third, or fourth semester, which now, previously it's been first or fourth. So I think that'll open the door for maybe some more JC guys.
How about the decision about JC not being affecting your NCAA eligibility? Does that affect D2 also?
So right
There's a
now,
couple of those cases where they...
Yeah, we talked about it on Monday. Our commissioner, Chris Graham, does a wonderful job staying up to beat with all the rule changes and I guess the movement in Division One. But yeah, right now it sounds like that waiver is just for Diego Pavia. The NCAA was concerned, from what I understand, that if they made a blanket waiver, it would just create a huge problem. So it was one single judge in one county with one plaintiff, and I don't foresee personally that it's going to be a blanket waiver where everyone's going to get that year back. And so, but it's crazy if you're a JC coach.
Yeah,
you're telling high school kids, come here, you're going to get 2 free years.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then it's going to be a traditional JUCO situation. You'll have 2 years left to play after you get your AA.
Yep.
But no, I don't think that'll trickle down at all or spread through the U.S.
I texted one of my buddies and I said, hey, so 2 years of JUCO, 5 years you'll be a doctor when you get out. And he goes, yeah, you'll be just in time to start collecting Social Security. You'll be so old.
I don't think I could have played 2 more years with how my body was feeling. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you would have found a way.
Yeah, we would have.
So let's talk a little bit about your new strength coach. Coach Cool, he was here last year, but he's newer. How's he been doing? And then what's your summer going to look like? I noticed you've had a lot of kids over the last couple summers that stay in town.
Yeah, that's a credit to Black
If any of them need a roofing job, you send them my way.
Absolutely, yeah. And anyone listening, shoot, if you're looking to employ student athletes over the summer, come to football, come talk with Ryan Thompson with basketball. I'm sure the volleyball team will be around again this summer. But
one summer I had Luke Enos.
Yeah.
And Ward Anderson, the big basketball player, quarterback on the football team. And I told my guys, I said, those 2 guys can't get hurt. I'll get kicked out of town if those 2 guys get hurt this summer.
A good thing they're flat roofs, right?
Yeah,
flat roofs.
It makes a little bit. But they are college kids, so
yeah,
sometimes.
No,
but no, they were good. I had a lot of good guys that have come through. Obviously, since when I was a kid, growing up in our company, as a little kid, pulling floats in the parade. Got to know all the football players that they'd worked for us in the summer. It was awesome. It was
Tommy was one of these guys, right? That worked.
Oh yeah, Tommy Walling and Boone Bowker and tons of Ward Anderson was with me about every summer he was in college.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And now he's the old coordinator in Sturgis. I'm the D coordinator in Spearfish. So we don't talk, but I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I love that guy. Not on Fridays.
Yeah, not on Fridays.
No. Yeah, we'll have right now I have 82 athletes on roster. Our number of signees is pushing up to almost 54, which don't knee jerk. It's the number will be what it needs to be. I always look at that. Sure, add those numbers up if you want to. We're not going to have 136 guys come fall camp. I know that. We're going to lose 6 to 7 through spring ball. There will be 3 or 4 in the signing class that will change their minds or go JUCO. But yeah, we'll get down to a manageable number come August 4th. But yeah, I'm anticipating we'll have all 82 of those guys will volunteer to be here this summer to train 4 weeks in July, 4 weeks in June. Our freshmen have the ability to move on campus in June. And it's nuts, Darren. For $36 a day, they get a room in Humbert Hall, which is now air conditioned, and they get 2 all you can eat meals in the cafeteria for $36 a day.
Wow! So
for them to be here with us for 28 days in June, leading up to fall camp, I just did this morning. It's going to be just under $1,000 for them out of pocket. But I'll tell you, I was kind of against it when we came up with this idea right away. I was like, we're going to move these freshmen into campus early. We're just going to burn them out. There's no girls. There's nothing, to do. They're going to be stuck in this dorm. They don't know anybody. And I was completely wrong. They all came together. And those guys that came our first summer of 22, boy, they just banded together, and that has been some of our best retention classes.
So you do get early enrollees out of high school, kind of like the big boys?
Yeah, well, they don't necessarily enroll in any classes. The stipulation Black Hills State has is they have to be enrolled or at least be registered for registration day. They have to have a housing deposit done, but yeah, that cost is on them. They bear the cost at $1,000.
Is that for every athlete or just the incoming ones?
It can be for any of our athletes.
Anybody that wants to live in Humbert in the summer, it's 36 a day for
and
board.
2 all-you-can-eat meals at the cafeteria. And that's just right across the parking lot. So, but those guys will train. We'll train in 2 groups in the summer, 4 days a week, 5:30 to 7, 7 to 7, or 8:30, and then guys can take off and go work their 9 to 5. So. But it's been huge. We've had well over 100 in July and well over 75 in June every single year, and the last three seasons now, or 3 summers, excuse me. So, it's huge.
Yeah, having the food for those young kids, because to put in their body, even if it isn't the best food, they burn calories so fast, and they're being young and stuff. So having the 2 all-you-can-eat meals, and your nutrition center in the weight room.
Yeah, that's huge.
That makes a big, at the high school, we've been doing more and more of that. And boy, it makes a big difference. Those kids start looking for their peanut butter sandwiches. And
no doubt. Well, I see a lot of athletes from other sports, including ours, will go in there on their way up to a meeting or their way up to a class. They'll just pop in the weight room. They'll grab a sandwich, grab a granola bar, a banana, whatever. And it's just extra calories. But
the people over at Looters, right?
I was gonna say, we got a shout out to Looters. Yeah. They've been doing that now for almost 4 years, and we operated all through the summer as well.
Yeah.
And it's for every single sport on our campus. There's never a shortage of food. Sport coaches will purchase their own protein powders and those things and shaker bottles, but as far as the milk and the bread and the peanut butter and the jelly and the fruit and the roast beef, that's and then obviously the South Dakota Beef Council gives us a grant, gives us some grant money to spend on beef every single year. So we buy beef jerky, and then we'll just get roast beef from Looters and make roast beef sandwiches for the guys too.
Oh yeah. That's what I mean. It's through the community, they're a small town, you're a nice little small town grocery store. If that's not enough of a reason to go there, this is a reason to go there. They're helping the kids in the community. They're helping the kids up, get to be their best up there at the college, food wise.
Absolutely.
And so go to Looters.
Go to Looters.
Get your yeah. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug. You're the man.
Yeah. So, but like I said, that's made a big difference. And then you have Coach Cook that's in there. But what I'm kind of leading to is last year when I watched your backfield play with your running backs, you had 2-3 guys you'd rotate through. They're all really great players, but I think it really leads to the 2 guys you had before them, Fidel and who was your last that just left? Nolan, yeah.
Oh yeah, and then Matt Collier.
Yeah, all those guys were very big on their bodies, and they had to hold up and play running back in the RMAC, and so that's something I've seen through the last 10 years at the school, is how much more the kids are into being a top athlete that way.
They're treating themselves like professionals.
Yeah, massages and all that stuff to get their muscles right.
There's an unlimited amount of dollars we could spend on helping them to prehab and rehab and get prepared from a durability standpoint, a strength and power standpoint. But
you go in the training room and they're cupping. They're doing that cupping stuff, and so the resources to these kids are so much more than they were.
So much more they were when you and I were playing here, for sure.
Yeah. And they're taking advantage of them, and that's what I think is.
And Monument Health is a huge reason for that as well. They employ a number of our ATs. Black Hills State employs a few ATs as well. But they're cupping in there. We have Normatec boots, the hot tubs, cold tubs. I went in there yesterday, had 3 athletes in there doing some cold tub work, but it's too cold to sit in the creek right now, you're asking for it. You probably won't come up out of the creek if you got in it right now.
No, it's probably not a good idea.
But no, it's been huge. Coach Cook does a great job. When we hired him after Coach Van Blarkum left, took an AD job back in Iowa, and just really wanted to get out of the strength world. Yeah, because it's tough. These guys are waking up at 4 a.m. every single day, not just training football. Coach Cook trains other sports at BH as well. But when we hired Cook, I said, hey, I just want to continue to have our programming and our schedule and everything we do within the weight room, the bones of what we do. I want it to be the same, because what Coach Derek had set up for us was tremendous. He was one of the hugest reasons that we were able to turn the corner and get going from a win percentage standpoint, a competitive standpoint, help our guys a ton, which is their confidence and their mental game.
Yeah.
But I told Cook, I said, I still want you to be yourself. I don't need you to be Coach Derek, be Coach Cook, but let's X's and O's wise, let's do what we've done. And frankly, I mean, I don't know if Coach Cook was planning to be a strength coach, but I know Coach Derek steered him that way and, you know, helped him with internships and helped him find jobs. And it was just a perfect fit when Derek left that we were able to slide Clay into that role. And dude's got a ton of pride. He's a former Yellow Jacket.
I was going to say, how many years removed from playing was he when he started? Did he didn't play with any of those kids he was coaching, did he?
There are, yes, he did. Only a few though. It'll be a few guys in the senior class that would have redshirted in 21, I believe. I believe 21 was Coach Cook's final year with us.
And like you said, former player. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt anybody to have a Harding County kid running around your weight room. I'll tell you that right now. So that's
Dude
awesome.
works his butt off. He does a ton of research on his own. We should have him come talk with the Spartans because he gave this awesome presentation about nutrition and a lot of these urban, myths and legends about energy drinks and creatine and all these supplements, fad diets. I mean, we went on for 90 minutes in a team meeting, and usually a team meeting that goes over 60, there's going to be some dudes nodding off. I look back, everyone's locked, and I was locked. I was like, this is great information. And the dude does a ton of research on his own. But to me, the biggest telltale that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing was we had, none, if maybe little non-contact ACLs. Our shoulders held up really well.
Yeah.
And then we set some huge, team records, position records, personal records on our power jumps, right? Our broad and our vertical jumps in weeks 7 and 8 and 9 this past season. And so the programming is set up so that your power output is hitting when it really needs to hit, right?
Yeah.
We're not just maintaining throughout the season.
It's crafted to hit at certain times. Yeah.
He's great at what he does. Him and Jacob Worth, our strength intern, they train football every single day, and they're tremendous.
So, all right. Well, tell us a little bit about your new offensive coordinator. Or you have a couple of new coaches that you've hired, but the big one was the old coordinator, and then you've hired a defensive back coach, I believe.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, I'll start with Dave Schramm, our new offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. So Dave's got, I want to say 36 years of experience under his belt. Was not a guy that I knew going into the whole interview process or the search. I had a guy that was my number one guy going into the search. Before the thing opened, we had some conversations. We had some common acquaintances, and it was...
I'm sorry I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I know. The roofing comes first, I know, and the podcast. But no, this guy backed out basically right at the end. Well, anyways, part of the HR process is you got to go through and you got to look at every single resume, right? And it's insane, Darren. There was a guy who was a pizza delivery driver. I had a garbage man. I had a baseball coach, a hockey coach. They're applying for our OC job. I'm like, these people, what are we doing? But anyways, sandwiched in the middle of there was a guy named Dave Schramm, and I clicked it, I opened it, and I started reading his resume, and I'm like,
it's a healthy one. That's for sure.
Been in some really cool spots, and has coached some really tremendous players, and Derek Carr, Devontae Adams at Fresno State. I mean, he can go on and on and on. Who was he telling me the other day? The running back for the Rams that was really good, Marshall Falk. Yeah, Coach Marshall Falk. But, Dave's been around the block. He actually played quarterback. I think he finished his career at Adams State, of all places.
Yeah.
But he's originally a San Diego guy. But, funny way, so I'll tell this story. I'll make sure I get this right. So Dave, one of Dave's best friends from San Diego, a very successful businessman, got to know a certain quarterback at San Diego State, and kind of became this kid's mentor. Well, Dave's friend ends up leaving the San Diego area and, of all places, moves to Sundance, Wyoming to buy a ranch and kind of, retire, but slow down, right? The quarterback that he mentored at San Diego State hits the portal, ends up at Chadron State College. So the week that we played Chadron, Dave was coaching at University of Mary. They were on a bye week. His buddy calls, hey, drive down and let's watch my kid play.
Yeah.
They're playing Black Hills. So Dave drives down, spends the weekend with his buddy. They caught that night game here at Lyle Hare, and he said he was just blown away by the atmosphere.
Yeah, that was
so
fun.
Then 4 or 5 weeks later, probably 7 or 8 weeks later, the job posts, and he's like, hey, I know Black Hills State, and just applied for the job. And so things progressed, obviously. He interviewed it really, really well, won us over. And I asked him when we were done with the whole interview process and he accepted the position, I said, would you have applied had you not come to our game versus Shatter? And he said, I wouldn't have even known who you guys were. And so a really bizarre way to make a connection, because typically when you're hiring new coaches, it's either someone you know or someone you know who knows them.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of connection. With Dave, it was no connection at all. There's just kind of a random thing.
Well, and that holds true to the comment that I hear all the time is, how can you not why wouldn't you want to come here and coach? Why wouldn't you want to come here as an athlete? Because Spearfish is so beautiful. The Black Hills are so beautiful. And that's where that played out, right? He came here and he's like, oh man, why wouldn't I want to go there?
I think on Friday, he said they went down into the Southern Hills and did Rushmore and Crazy Horse and all that.
Yeah. So the question I get a lot is, why is he here? He's got such a good resume. Why is he at Black Hills State?
I asked that question too.
And I'm sure you did.
I said, hey, I'm looking at your deal. It's, Weber State, Montana State, Fresno State, Utah. You've been around the block.
IMG, I thought that was an interesting one. IMG, that's that high school program, which is basically a college program. I
asked him the same thing, like, how does Black Hills fit into your next school that you're going to on your resume? And his answer was great. He said, hey, I'm at the tail end of my coaching career. I know that. I think Dave he's 61, a little bit of an older guy as far as coaches go. And anyways, I'm at the tail end of my career, but I still feel like I have a lot to give. I still got a lot of fire. I still want to coach young people. And yeah, honestly, after he left IMG, he was semi-retired, not coaching, and one of his former players took the head job at Mary, the Shan Schellinger, and Shan called him and said, hey, come up here and coach with me. I need your help. And so he came out of retirement. He moved up to Bismarck. I want to say Dave spent 2 seasons with Mary, helping Shan out up there, and just was looking for something better, right? Division II, I think they have some challenges being a private school up in Bismarck. But anyways, just a better opportunity, I think, for him Division II wise. And in his words, still got a lot of coaching left in him.
Well, his experience and his age bring a lot to your staff.
I love that diversity.
The mentorship, hey, I remember when this head coach that everybody knows, I remember when he did this in this situation, or I remember we did this at Utah, and it kind of helped, just being through those kind of programs and seeing the challenges. I mean, got to help your problem solving as a staff, for sure.
Yeah, I've said out loud, like I've already learned a lot from Dave, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot more. So, but he's old school though. Let's not beat around the bush. I mean,
he gets after it a little.
Yeah, he gets after it a little. His big thing is we're going to do things the right way. We're going to do things extremely well. When I listen to Dave talk to our players, because I'm going back to coaching O-line now, and that's going to be a big change for me. And so I gotta get my mind ready for that and get my body ready for that a little bit. But listening to Dave talk to the players, his emphasis is on excellence. It's on doing things, not doing so many things, but doing a few things really, really, really well. So I'm excited about that. Just having a little bit more focus, having some more logic going into our offense. The first 2 weeks, I want to say, or the first 4 or 5 practices of spring ball, we're going to be in 2x2 formations the whole time. Yeah. And, his big goal coming out of spring ball, he just wants to know who can play.
Who can play. Yeah. What do you think your offense is going to change a ton? Are you changing verbiage, or is he going to kind of try to do what you've been doing? Or
he's great with that. He came in and said, if you guys want to keep your formation names, we can keep them. And I just didn't think that was fair to him with a fresh start. I remember my fresh start here at BH back in 2020, and it was, let's tear it all back and start over.
I think it's a good idea to change it up, because somebody might have given a coaching point about a certain formation, and then a new coach came in, and then so if you call it the same, that athlete might be making that same adjustment from 2 years ago because he knows that's what it is to the pirate formation or whatever. You know,
the language is key in any organization, right?
And so if you change the language, you have to teach the offense, and that's the key, I think. Teaching the offense and the defense from the bottom up is probably a key, I think.
So we're starting all the way over with new verbiage and everything. You know, you're going to see us huddle.
Yeah.
What's that?
What the heck?
So we're going to huddle.
Practice that.
Yeah, that's our base tempo is going to be a huddle team. And we obviously have the ability to go fast, 2-minute pace, Geronimo, single word calls, those type of things. So, from an X's and O's standpoint, you know, we're gonna run inside and outside zone. We're gonna continue to run pin and pull sweep, which has been a staple of Black Hills State the last 5 years. Our passing game is going to change, I think, significantly. And not that we're attacking different areas of the field as far as we're going to be a quick team or a long ball team. It's going to be a little bit, let's get the ball at the quarterback's hand a little bit sooner. The previous passing system we've been in the last 5 years, it's kind of been a look at your 1, get to 2, get to 3, maybe even get to 4, then check it down, then maybe run. And we're going to be a little bit more like it's 1 or 2 or get it to the back.
Yeah.
If the back's covered, then take off.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be full field reading quite as much.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, good. It'll be exciting to see it all come together.
I think it'll benefit our quarterbacks. I mean, honestly, you know, and I would never want to talk poorly about anyone or anything to do with Black Hills State, but I just thought I allowed our offense to get too complicated over the past 4 to 5 years. And it seemed like every year we just continue to add to it. But, you know, we're graduating players and new guys are coming in and they kind of get thrown into the fire. And so we became too complex, too complicated, too many things to remember. And it began to kind of debilitate our players and cause that paralysis by analysis on game day, which you and I know you can't play that way. You got to be able to play fast.
Yeah, you got to know and be confident in what you're doing and knowing that, hey, I'm going to do this. And if I hit this route, this is what it's going to do. Not, well, I hope it works out, you know.
And I allowed that to creep in just over the years. And I think it reared its head this year, going back to talking about our season. Like, I felt like Mesa was a team that we should have beat this year. Definitely feel like we obviously should have beat Pueblo. I mean, when we outgained Pueblo 509 to 205, that's one we should win.
How, talk about the DB coach.
So, our new defensive backs coach, his name's Joe Sturdivant. Joe's been a head coach down in Georgia, in Atlanta on the north side. He's going to be moving up here with his wife and his 2 kids. Really intriguing hire in that, you know, Joe left a good paying job with a lot of security in a great area where a ton of his kids were getting recruited to SEC programs to get into college coaching. And so I think it's tough anytime that you're out of college coaching, you want to get in. Sometimes you do have to take a step, you know, down the ladder or down a rung or two. But the one thing that we loved most about Joe was his no-nonsense attitude when it comes to DB play. He's got really strong convictions about how DB play should look and how it should occur and the technique. And there's really, you know, I guess in my words, there's 2 ways to do things. You either do it right or you do it over. And so we, again, just retrospectively looking back, I think I allowed our defensive back play to become watered down. I allowed it to kind of be a little bit ambiguous. And I allowed the coaching in that group to, you know, just allow things and make excuses in those things. And so I'm excited to get back to more of a rules-based, if you don't do this, you're wrong, and it's not okay to be wrong system. And I think Joe's going to bring a ton of that attitude. Well, he's been a head coach, right, for most of his career too. So another guy that I'm excited to learn from. He's going to bring a lot of great ideas. And
you're losing a lot of experience in the secondary with the 2 brothers leaving and stuff. So it's probably good to start over with the rules,
We lost a lot of production to graduation, and thank God to graduation and nothing else, right? Yeah. That's the end goal. But with Nick and Doodles, Quinones, those 2, Zachariah Rodriguez Brown was a tremendous athlete for us all 4 years. Levinsky Simon was starting corner my entire career here as a coach at Black Hills. Deontay Moody battled back from a really severe knee injury in 23 to come back and have a good senior year in 24. Gankwe Mambele was kind of more of a spot guy that we came in, but those 6 seniors, man, we're going to miss those guys for sure. We have some young dudes who redshirted this fall that I'm really looking forward to stepping up. If you get a chance to come out for spring ball and put your eyes on guys like Jamil Kassab, Arturo Estrada, we call him Artie. Come out and get a look at Avant Wright, Curtis Kemp, Tristan Bloomquist. There's going to be a lot of guys, but also there's a whole group in the middle that now that Doodles and Nick and Zach and all these guys are gone, you're going to see some dudes like Jackson Hughes out of Douglas, Wyoming is going to have an opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Malik Edwards out of Katy Tompkins in Texas is going to be a senior for us this year. It's his opportunity now to step up in those roles. And we still got to find a couple transfers in that group. We didn't sign as many high school DBs, particularly as we wanted to, or maybe didn't hit that high talent level. But yeah, we'll still find a couple transfers in that group.
Awesome. So now that we've been talking a little bit about recruiting and stuff, let's talk about you guys signed the #1 quarterback in South Dakota.
Yeah.
I believe he was.
Dude, he almost signed himself.
Sam, is it Knuth? Or?
It's Knuth.
Knuth?
Yep.
Sam Knuth from Harrisburg.
Sam Knuth. Never thought I'd ever have a chance to talk to Sam in a recruiting sense, and frankly, I didn't. We were moving forward with a quarterback out on the West Coast that we really liked. It was a year that we said, "Hey, let's not sign a transfer quarterback. Can we go find 2 really good high school quarterbacks that can help us get out of this transfer cycle we're kind of stuck in at QB?" And not that it's a bad thing, but it can be volatile and risky.
Sure.
It can be expensive, right? So anyways, sitting in our staff room on a Monday, that was back in December, and got a text message from Sam Knuth. "Hey, this is Sam Knuth. I just decommitted from a Division I school, and I'm really interested in playing D2. I love the Black Hills. We vacation out there all the time. Can we talk?" We got on the phone. 2 days later, him and his dad and his brother Jacob were out on a visit. And we showed him Black Hills State. They loved it. We continued to recruit him really hard. We offered him a really good scholarship. And I think his big draw was he just wants to go somewhere where he can play. Have an opportunity to play for like 4 years.
Yeah, you were saying his brother is at Kansas State, right?
Yeah, and was previously at Minnesota and is now at K-State.
Quarterback too, right?
Yeah.
And that might be leading to a little bit of, I want to go somewhere where I can play.
I think
instead
so.
of bouncing around.
I think so.
I imagine having that in front of you, seeing your brother go through it probably helps.
I think it had a big impact on him, and their dad Mike's a great guy, and he gets it as well. And so we're excited to have them be part of our family.
That Harrisburg program, unreal.
Yeah,
this
Brandon
year,
White crushes it with those guys.
And they had ninth grade through 12th grade, freshman to senior. They had 160 kids out for football.
That's crazy.
160.
That's nuts.
Now there's talk they're going to split that school up and all that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're getting to be so big. But yeah, they have really, and that's why they're good in football. I mean, they have a really good youth camp program. If you were to watch it from the youth all the way through the high school, it's all coordinated and
nice.
Pretty impressive. So I think he's going to be a good player for us. I was really excited.
Yeah, and he's the #1 quarterback in the Dakotas for a reason. I mean, I always say Jacob, 'cause I used to know Jacob. We talked maybe once or twice years and years ago. But anyways, Sam, he's 6'4". He weighs about 207. He was clocked at some camps this past summer running a 4.5, 4.52. And so when you get a 6'4", 200-pound kid leaning forward and running a 4.5 with the ball, I mean, he's pretty dangerous. I know they changed up their offense a little bit going into his senior year, where they just weren't throwing quite as much. But still, I mean, he's really productive all over the field. Great kid, good grades, got a great personality. I think he's going to have that leadership poise about him as well.
Boy, if you could find somebody like that to build around for the next, especially having your senior this year. Mm-hmm. Is he a senior?
So he can kind of understudy.
So he can kind of see how it all goes, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably our biggest signee in this class as far as like a marquee. I mean, he was ranked on Rivals and those things.
I was going to say probably one of the biggest we've signed in a long.
Maybe in a while. Certainly since I've been here. I mean, that's a huge get for us. So,
and that's something that you brought up, Rivals and being ranked in those recruiting. So my kids at the high school, we're starting to get, more kids recruited and more things like that. But they'll ask me about going to those camps and stuff. And I'm like, man, unless you, like you were saying, unless you're set up to, or maybe it wasn't you I was talking to, but like, if you're going to go to one of those camps, you better be running a 4.5. You better be, or they're just taking your money because they're, and so it's tough for those kids, the high school kids, not to spend a bunch of money. Those are tough conversations, I guess, to have.
They are. I would tell anyone in this region, come to our camp. I think we're doing it on July 20th. We're going to set up the lasers. Yeah. We'll test everything. We'll do your height, your weight, your broad, your vert. We'll measure your hand size. We'll test your 40. We'll get a flying 10 out of that as well. So if you want some, as a recruit, if you want some marks to help put your name out there, come test with us at our camp. It's $50 and you get a cool hoodie with it too. So.
I think that's great advice. I think far better advice than don't sign with a recruiting company that says, hey, give us some money. I'll get your film in front of all these coaches. Just set up a Twitter account and set up all your information. You just go find a high school kid that's getting recruited and see how his page looks. And that's what you need.
You're right there. And
your grades, your 40s. You can do it yourself. You don't have to pay anybody to do it. If you want to do it bad enough.
No doubt. Yeah. And don't hesitate to make a junior highlight because guys like me at this time of the year, we're watching junior highlights now.
I'm sending my kids' junior highlights out to every coach I know. Like, hey, I got this kid. Hey, this kid might be a good player for you,
Shoot, there's some D2 schools that are already doing junior days and getting offers out. I know on the east side. Yeah.
Some of our kids have been invited to a couple of junior days and stuff like that. So it's really exciting to watch and see the kids go through it all. And, it's pretty neat.
Cool.
Yeah. Pretty neat time of their life.
No doubt.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll end this. We'll have one little more. I wanted to talk about your schedule next year that came out. And, I feel like this schedule is going to really keep your kids dialed in over the summer, right?
That's the plan.
Because it's not an easy one when you start out. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so when we were putting together the new schedule, to me, looking for a close Division II games, being the furthest north team in the RMAC, and the RMAC being the furthest west conference in the U.S., it's really difficult to find Division II non-conference games. You've got MIAA is a closed conference. The GAC is also a closed conference. So your Missouri and your Arkansas leagues all closed up, so they can't take any games. Previously, Northern Sun's been a closed league, but they're allowing, I think before Jamestown becomes full-fledged NSIC member, they're allowing some openings. And so we did get Sioux Falls on the schedule for the next 2 years in week 0, so our opening game. And then, the following week, we're going to hop on a plane. We're going to do a first regular season flight I've ever been a part of.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to probably do a commercial flight out of Rapid into Grand Rapids, Michigan, and drive over to Allendale and play on Friday, September 6th against Grand Valley State. Should be an awesome opportunity. It's their home opener. It's going to be an evening game. They typically will have, 10,000 fans at those games. It's one of the most electric D2 environments.
It's a stellar program at the D2. I believe back in the day when UND won their national championship with Kelby Klosterman was a quarterback from Spearfish on that team, and I think they played Grand Valley in that game. And that's 20 some years ago. I believe that's who they played, and I think Brian Kelly was the head coach.
Yeah, he did come through there.
From LSU, yeah. They've had some good coaches come through there. But so that'll be a fun to go to a different part of the country.
No doubt.
See how they handle game day, see how they handle.
And we're going to get a taste of some playoff football in week 1, right? Well, week 0, week 1, so our second game of the season. And Sioux Falls they're going to be ready to go. Jimmy Glow does a great job with that program, and he's took it over and got it kind of rocking pretty fast. They had a small dip. The previous coaches, I think his last season before Jimmy took over, they had a losing year. Might have been the first time they had a losing year in 26 seasons. But
so I played 95, 94, and then so us and Sioux Falls that's when we were battling.
You guys, Sioux Falls College, right?
Sioux Falls College, yeah. They'll always be Sioux Falls College to me.
Sufuku.
But right after that 95 season is when they kind of went on their national championship run, NAIA run. And then and Coach DeBoer was on that team.
That's right.
Curtis Riggs was the quarterback on that team. And so from that point till now, I bet you they haven't had a losing season, but maybe that one. for
It's
sure.
insane. Yeah, even their transition year from NAI to D2, they went 6-5 that year. And then I got in there. The next season was my first season.
Okay.
As an assistant at Sioux
Who
Falls.
was your head coach?
Jed Stugart.
Oh yeah, Jed. I knew
Yeah,
that.
so Jed took over for Kalen, and I coached 6 seasons with Jed, 3 at Sioux Falls, 3 at Lindenwood. So
Yeah, I think, and then you're right into your RMAC schedule, which is
then we
already
roll
talked
right
about
in.
that every.
It looks like, and I don't know if I'm at liberty to say this on a podcast, but I guess slap me on the wrist. I think we're basically 99% of the way stamped that we're going to move our Shattering game from week 8 up to the 3rd game of the season, so we can have a later bye. Shattering and us can utilize a bye. Kind of 2/3 of the way through the year. So it'll be kind of goofy. We'll go home versus Sioux Falls. We'll go away to Grand Valley, away to Shattering, away to Fort Lewis.
Yeah.
But the away Shattering game, we'll leave Saturday morning.
Yeah.
It's a 6 p.m. kickoff. So it's really not an away game to me.
Championships are won on the road.
Yeah.
So-
but next year's the first year since I've been the coach that we actually have 6 home games. So
Oh, really?
yeah, we've only ever had 5 each year since I've been here. And part of that was the money game with St. Thomas was going up there 2 years in a row. And shoot, that's a game, man. I wish we would have had that game back.
Yeah, that was a
Fumbling
fun
on our own 4-yard line really cost us. And shoot, we just can't make those mistakes any longer. And I think our team understands that. But
You got them back by getting their quarterback.
what's that?
You got them back by getting their
There you
quarterback.
go, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome. I'm excited. I know you got spring ball. When spring ball start?
We're going to start on Monday, March 3rd. We're going to get 3 practices in and then take spring break and come back and do our remaining 12. We're going to finish Saturday, April 12th, which is kind of early. It's before Easter this year, with our spring game at 1 p.m. on Saturday, April 12th. So
Awesome.
Come out, we'll do a I guess it'll be a black versus white scrimmage, inter squad. We're not going to face any other teams this year or anything like that. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. You did that last year, didn't you?
we tried to do it last year, and we ended up. I ended up messing up the ruling. Apparently, any of the athletes that were going to participate in that spring practice needed to be eligible. So any of our freshmen who weren't qualifiers, or if an athlete on my team didn't pass 9 credits in the fall,
He wasn't eligible.
they couldn't go to this deal, and we were going to have to leave like 11 dudes behind. I'm like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah,
So,
it defeats the purpose of
Yeah.
getting
Of
out there
trying
and
to play
playing as a
someone
team
else.
and playing on the.
so we'll stay home. It'll be good.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, this is our first episode number 1 of our Build Your Room podcast. Do you have any? When's the Gridiron Gathering this year?
So Gridiron Gathering, we moved it last season to Friday night before our first home game. So it'll be Friday night before the Sioux Falls game. Well, actually, shoot, we play Sioux Falls on a Thursday. So we might have to do that on a weird kind of Wednesday night.
On a Wednesday night?
But we'll probably do it at the Joy Center again. I thought that was healthy and it was easy. It was quick. And
Well, good. If you do it on a Wednesday, I can come.
Yeah.
Because I'm not coaching football.
That's
Last
right.
year was Friday, and I was like, oh man, I'm not
it
going
was
to be
a
able to
great
make
event. We were able to honor Norma Schluckaway and
Yep.
Coach Schluckaway's legacy and his family, pay some tribute to them. It was awesome. We raised some money for the program.
Yeah.
We're raising about $8,000 off of our Gridiron Gathering, most of it from the auction.
it. Yep.
So there's
And that
people out
goes-
there with the auction items.
Yep.
Come find me.
Yeah. Well, I'll line you up a few. I'll try to find a few for you. So going into this season, kind of give us like everybody's got like their 3 words that they're like, or you got your team motto, or what are you thinking are going to be, what are you going to be the backbone of your team? You're going to be tough, you're going to be fast, you're going to be smart, you're going to be.
Yeah, that's a great
Suppose
question.
after spring, it's tough until you get to spring ball, but.
No, I mean, it is and it isn't. It's a great question to ask.
I mean, when you had Fidel, you knew what you were going to be. You were going to be getting the ball fed to you all day long, right?
Yeah,
And so-
I mean, fortunately, at least offensively, we're bringing back Cam Goods and Navarre Dixon. Cam will be a senior. Navarre will be a sophomore, a true sophomore. So we're bringing back our 2 top running backs. TJ Chucker is coming back next year as a junior, as one of the top receivers in the conference. Doobie's going to be a senior, and that's just talking about offense. We're talking about defense. Why wouldn't we talk about a guy like Kellen Collier, Cooper Brown? I mean, Sebastian O'Farrell. I mean, we have some really good front 7 defenders. I think the big thing is we got to stay humble. That's the one thing I've noticed with our team is I think when we get a taste of winning, we think it's just going to continue to happen, and we stop doing the things that got us there, the little things. We start to believe that maybe they don't matter, and it just rears its head and bites you in the butt. And with a 3-point loss to Pueblo, 2 years ago, a 5-point loss to Pueblo, and it's like, man, we gotta get over that hump, and we can't allow our ego or our pride to get ahead of ourselves. We got to stay focused and just stay humble.
And I think that statement you made about staying humble kind of plays to the kind of season you had last year. Like you said, it was a 6-5. You're talking about staying humble after going 6-5. Well, it
shouldn't be that
feel
hard.
like 6-5. Well, yeah,
it shouldn't be hard to be humble when you're 6-5.
But you played better than 6. Like you said, you had those close games, and those are going to be where, hey, you can't look at it like, we were right there. You got to look at 3 points or 30 points, you still lost, right? So you got to keep battling. You got to keep, And I think that's what you're trying to.
The other idea I was kind of batting around a little bit over the previous, month was, do we just, hey, let's beat Pueblo this year?
Yeah.
Like, that's a bridge we have never crossed. Our school's never beaten them. We've never beat Colorado Mines. I think they beat Western one time. In the D2 era before I got here, but we haven't since I've been here. But honestly, we've been letting Pueblo off the hook the last few times we played them. We've now played them to 3 points, 5 points, and 3 points in the last 4 years. One of those years we played them, they beat us by 38, and that was kind of embarrassing. But I don't know. Like, I wonder if setting that lofty goal to say, hey, this is the year we're going to beat Pueblo, does everything else fall in the line when you're preparing at a championship level to beat a championship style team?
Yeah. If you're preparing to beat Pueblo, you're preparing to beat everybody.
Right. Exactly.
If you're not
just focusing on tech and shattering, right?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Well, hey, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. It was good talking to you. We'll have to do this more often, and then I hope to have some of your players, some of your coaches on, things like that. I know I would like to, being it's the Build Your Room podcast, I might have a couple of your O-linemen from the O-line room come down sometime and talk, and wide receiver room, things like that. So
I just encourage anyone listening to the podcast, I hope this tickles your competitive bone, and especially you former Yellow Jackets, and let's continue to help build this program up the right way by getting the right people here first.
Yep. Yeah. Former players are competitive people.
No doubt.
And so I'm hoping this leads to that. Like, hey, let the O-line room, I'll put out a graphic. The O-line room's already ahead. We're at $600 ahead of everybody.
As we should be.
So, but we can, hopefully we'll get a little bit of competition there going to where, hey, I want the QBs want to be the high donors and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
All right, man. I appreciate it. I will have you on again sometime and tell your lovely wife hello. And
I will. Thanks.
And we'll go from there. Yeah, tell your kid to grow fast.
Yeah.
He's going to be a stud.
I'm going to pick him up. We got a dodgeball tourney with the football team he wanted to watch today. So.
Nice. Well, and your daughter, I see she's been playing some basketball.
Yeah, a little basketball, a little softball.
It's probably in her blood with her mom and stuff. So
she's getting better.
Yeah. We're glad to have you in Spearfish. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Darren.